day today, dog. Offense, great drive.
Go, go! 35 weeks ago, the Jets wrapped up the 2020 regular season. Now, the green and white ramping up for their Week 1 matchup against the Carolina Panthers. Welcome inside the BetMGM studio. I'm Ethan Greenberg, joined alongside Eric Allen. We have a great show for you, but it is really good to know that the Jets play a real game Sunday in Charlotte.
I'm ready. Just a lot of anticipation. You got a first-year head coach. You got a rookie quarterback. You got an awfully young roster. The vibe has been good here at One Jets Drive throughout the spring and summer. A solid preseason, and now it's real.
All right, well, let's kick things off with today's headlines, which is there is so much unknown in Week 1, not just for the Jets, but league-wide. And luckily for the Jets, their opponent, the Carolina Panthers, they have a system in place. They have not a lot of turnover in terms of personnel, both players and coaches.
Yeah, and that is an advantage, actually, for Carolina because they will have that recall. We're looking at Mike LaFleur, first-year offensive coordinator here with the New York Jets, and, of course, Zach Wilson, who will enter that afternoon spotlight at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. But when you look at Carolina, Joe Brady, second-year coordinator there. Obviously, they have a new quarterback that Jets fans are very familiar with in Sam Darnold. Then on the other side of the ball, they're in that 4-3 for a second consecutive year. But listen, you only can prepare for so much in Week 1 because there are going to be a lot of things that people throw at you, and you're going to have to make those changes on the fly. And Robert Saleh and his defensive coordinator there, Jeff Ulbrich, getting ready for today's practice Thursday. And before you know it, it's going to be kickoff.
I just want to say, Jeff Ulbrich's beard, we talked about
Best
it
in the
before.
league.
Best in the league?
Best in the league. Name me a player who's even got a better beard than that.
I think most people would say Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No way. Listen, and we love Fitzy here, but that's a little bit unkept.
Yeah, okay.
Look how clean that is.
It is very clean. Ulbrich does have the extreme kept-up beard. And now, look, it's a meeting of the minds between Robert Saleh, Mike LaFleur, and Jeff Ulbrich. We're going to talk about Robert Saleh in a moment. But for Jeff Ulbrich, we're talking about the unknowns. The Panthers' offense, relatively the same as well, minus their quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What they had two receivers last year go for over 1,000 yards. Of course, former Jet Robbie Anderson, he's reuniting with Sam Darnold. DJ Moore is an explosive player on the outside. The Panthers very high on rookie Terrace Marshall as well. But I'll tell you what, Greens, the guy I have my eye on the Carolina offense is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, the third player in NFL history to have a season in which he had at least 1,000 rushing and receiving yards. He only played in 3 games last year. And we'll talk about Christian McCaffrey, not just today, but also leading up to Sunday's kickoff. Let's move on to our Jet in Focus. No surprise here. The guy we just saw on the screen, head coach Robert Saleh, who's preparing for his first NFL regular season game as a coach.
All gas, no break. He followed his passions. 20 years and 1 day after 9/11, Saleh will coach his first NFL game. When 9/11 occurred, his brother was actually in one of the towers, got out alive, and Robert Saleh, as we watch him right now, he was actually in the banking industry, the financial industry, and after that moment, he decided he was going to follow his love, and that was coaching. He got into it, and it's been a long road until now, but he's still a young guy at 42 years old. And I was looking at a Rich Cimini article actually before coming in here, talking about Saleh on 9/11 and previewing this season. This guy, he's in tremendous shape. Less than 10% body fat. Look at Saleh. He looks like he's ready to play.
Wow. Breaking news here in the BetMGM studio. Confirmed less than 10% body fat?
Yes. Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. He's in the facility. He's one of the earliest guys in. They always say that about people, but Saleh is a notorious early guy inside that weight room.
You mentioned 9/11. Be sure to check out on all Jets platforms the story that the One Jets Drive film productions crew put out there. It's called The Driver, a Heroes 9/11 story. Mike Pryor is the truck driver for the New York Jets equipment staff, and he was a FDNY. He was a part of FDNY for a long time. He has a great 9/11 story, and be sure to check that out. Robert Saleh, though, going up against this Panthers team, I found it interesting what he said earlier this week as he leads into his head coaching debut, the emotions that he has heading into Sunday.
I feel the same. I'm being honest. Like it's game week. It's preparation as we get closer. Just like being a position coach and a coordinator, my blood starts flowing a little bit faster, just natural. But right now it's all about the players and giving them every opportunity, and all the focus is on them to help them make plays on Sunday. That's most important. And so I really don't think about what it means for me or anything. Everything is about them, and because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are putting on the uniforms. They're the ones inside the white lines. They're the ones that have to execute at a very high level, and it's our job to make sure that they're given every opportunity to do that. So, not to underscore the question, I'm sure I'll be amped as all heck on Sunday, but right now there's a calm and preparation that has to take place.
I really want to see Robert Saleh on Sunday juiced up, because we've seen him in the 49ers defensive coordinator, or as the 49ers defensive coordinator, really hyping up the team, but we haven't seen like true Robert Saleh in that fashion yet.
Well, we haven't seen it, but I'm sure the players have seen it behind closed doors. Saleh, all gas, no brake. That has been the mantra since day one. The Jets hired him January 14th, and he wants his team to speak for themselves, put it on tape, play fast and physical, and that's what we anticipate. One of the great things that he did in San Francisco was last year, when all those guys went down to injury, the 49ers still fielded one of the top defensive units in the National Football League. So he knows there's going to be adversity coming at this team along the way, but he is the right guy to steer the ship. And I think this is a new era of Jets football.
Look, if you want to see that guy in the red jersey, number 2, Zach Wilson, make sure to be at MetLife Stadium for the 2021 New York Jets home opener against the New England Patriots on Sunday, September 19th at 1 p.m. All fans in attendance will receive a free Bud Light welcome back rally towel. Lock your seats in at nyjets.com/tickets. All right, let's take a look at our injury report, which is thankfully rather light. LaMichael Pirine limited in practice. Sherrod Niesman, the safety, did not practice yesterday. Mekhi Becton, a full participant. And another guy that didn't practice is Jamison Crowder, as he's still on the reserve COVID list.
So great news on Becton, right? So he's been practicing. Not only did he practice yesterday, but he practiced Monday. He's cleared concussion protocol. He's all set for Sunday, it seems. Jamison Crowder is the guy that we have to continue to watch out for, because he has to be symptom-free and then test negative for 2 consecutive days. I would ask you, Ethan, if Crowder isn't in the lineup Sunday, what do you think potentially the Jets would do offensively when they do 3 and 4 receiver sets?
Well, right now we're taking a look at Mekhi Becton, which is good to see him on the field clearing concussion protocol. We'll talk about him in a minute, but to answer your question, I think when Jamison Crowder is healthy and available, I think you're probably looking at Corey Davis and Elijah Moore outside with Jamison Crowder in the slot.
Yes.
But with Elijah Moore having that versatility to play inside and outside, I think maybe Elijah Moore kicks inside, and then outside you're probably looking at somebody like Keelan Cole or Denzel Mims.
Yeah, and it's going to be something for us to monitor throughout the week, and maybe we get some kind of finality as far as Crowder's status by tomorrow. We'll have to follow that. We're watching the offensive line right now. Ethan, we won't know who the starting right tackle is until a couple minutes before kickoff.
Yeah, that's true. And I spoke to Cynthia Freeland yesterday on our game preview podcast, and she seems hell-bent that it's going to be Morgan Moses.
Okay.
But not that she has any inside knowledge. That's just what she thinks, especially when you consider how good of a run blocker Morgan Moses was in 2020. He was Pro Football Focus's 6th highest rated in terms of a run blocking grade. And you know the Jets are going to want to establish the run against every team, not just the Carolina Panthers.
Mike LaFleur said this team is going to lean on the run. We saw Elijah Vera Tucker there before. This will be the first time in game action that we actually see that monstrous left side of the offensive line in action, because you're going to have Mekhi Becton, and to the right of him, Elijah Vera Tucker. So I'm excited to see these guys. Listen, this is the first time all 5 of them will play together in game action.
You know, I'm really excited to see Connor McGovern. First of all, I just want to shout out the tinted visor on Connor McGovern.
You love
Stylish.
that.
I like it.
Yep.
The McGovern inseam, as he calls his shorts, right? You have like your standard 9, 7, 5. That's the McGovern inseam. Well, that is not it, but he has one because he's in football pads right now. Regardless, the point I want to make here about McGovern is he felt like he didn't play his best, especially at the beginning of the season last year. And this system, he feels like, is tailor-made not just for him, but really the entire offensive line. And I think that we're going to see an aggressive football team on Sunday against the Patriots up front.
Talked to him yesterday after practice. This is a guy who feels very good about the system. He loves it. He thinks this is the best match for his skill set. And you just mentioned it right there. He also said that he thinks it's the best match for every one of those guys who is starting for the Jets offensive line. But listen, they're going to try to get that Carolina defensive line on the move laterally, and then see if they can spring some big runs. And then potentially that sets up those play-action shots down the field with quarterback Zach Wilson, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and company. Here's a guy who could figure big Sunday in the outcome. That's Quinnen Williams.
And we'll talk about this Jets defensive line in a bit. But this Panthers defensive line, they're young, they're talented, they're led by Brian Burns, who had 9 sacks in 2020. And for more on Carolina's defense, let's hear from Brian Baldinger for our first.
Number 21, Jeremy Chin. Here he is lined up in a cover 2 shell. But he can line up anywhere. He can line up in the slot. He can line up at linebacker. Now, on this play, he reads the ghost motion, and he plays it. But once he sees the ball cut back inside, he's an excellent tackler. In the open field, he doesn't miss. And then finally, their number 1 pick this year up at the top, J.C. Horn, number 8. Here he is against Pittsburgh in the preseason game. The Panthers are a zone team, heavy zone. That's where he is right here. But right there, he's got good eyes. And now watch the reaction to get the ball out of Claypool's hands. 4 young stars. Panthers counting on these guys heavily. All good players.
Look, we know that this game is probably going to be won and lost in the trenches on both sides of the ball, and that starts with containing guys like Brian Burns, Derek Brown, and Hassan Reddick for the Jets offensive line. But let's move to the Jets defense. I know what I said about the trenches, but all eyes are going to be on the outside at cornerback. We don't know who is starting at cornerback. Robert Saleh said that there's a group of 4, I assume excluding Bryce Hall, who's predominantly run with the first team all throughout training camp in the preseason. That includes Brandon Eccles, Isaiah Dunn, Jason Pinnock, and Javelin Guidry.
Okay, so let's move to the inside real quickly and talk about Michael Carter and Javelin Guidry. Saleh and Ulbrich consider both of those guys starters in the National Football League. In fact, Saleh wants to get both of them on the field. Does that mean that Guidry will be playing outside the numbers snap 1? It could be when you're in your nickel looks. But Michael Carter and Javelin Guidry are key figures in this secondary. Young players. Carter, the Jets love him. And then, yes, Bryce Hall, you can pencil him in. He's starting. He's starting outside the numbers at 1 spot. And then who's it going to be? Do they put Guidry out there? Do they put Brandon Eccles, a rookie out of Kentucky who's got tremendous speed, who was very active throughout the preseason? Pinnock's another interesting guy there in the defensive backfield. And you mentioned Isaiah Dunn. How about him making the team as an undrafted free agent?
Very impressive. And the one thing about Javelin Guidry, number 40 on your screen right now, and also Brandon Eccles, those 2 in particular, and Michael Carter II, they all have sub 4.4 speed. So when you talk about guys like we mentioned, the Panthers wide receiver core with DJ Moore, with Robbie Anderson, who can blow the top off of a defense, to have guys like Guidry and Eccles and Michael Carter II who can run with those types of players, maybe they don't have the experience, but at least they can run step for step.
I totally agree with that. The speed in the defensive backfield has gotten better, has improved, and You think about the Jets, the strength of this defense is in the middle. Where they are young is on the outside in the back seven. You're going to have potentially 2 rookie linebackers starting, Hamza Nasruddin and then Jamie Sherwood, of course. And it looks like Nasruddin is going to be the guy. Saleh said as much the other day. And then, we talk about the youth in the secondary.
Also, just real quick, real side note, Brandon Eccles changed his number from 25 to 26.
Do you like that? You're a numbers guy.
Well, he wore 26 in college, and Ty Johnson's 25, so I assumed that he would have preferred 26. Elijah Campbell was on the team. Now he's on the Dolphins. 26 opened up. Makes sense. I like it.
Can we point something out here? The other guy who's practicing, and this is a big development.
Ooh, I think I know who you're going to say.
34, Justin Hardy.
Yeah.
Who is one of the team captains. The Jets named 5 team captains yesterday, which included Zach Wilson, Corey Davis, Lorenzo Fatukasi, C.J. Mosley, and then Hardy on special teams. And the 6th, you're going to rotate that potentially.
Right. The 6th is voted on, or not voted on, but it's nominated by the coaching staff, whereas the 5 you just said were player-voted team captains that'll remain the course throughout the season. All right, so it's time for our first Stats Amazing segment on practice today, courtesy of Randy Lang, who's dug up multiple gems. This is a great one. The Jets have won their last 3 season openers on the road in which they've had to travel in a southerly direction. First game, 2006 at Tennessee, Eric Mangini's debut, 2008 in Miami. But I want to point out the last one, 2009 in Houston, rookie head coach Rex Ryan, rookie quarterback Mark Sanchez, and the Jets won that game.
Yeah, they won that game, and Mark Sanchez's first touchdown pass in the National Football League, I believe, went to Chancey Stuckey. That was the start of the season for the Jets when a lot of people would say they snuck into the playoffs, but then they did a lot of damage, taking down the Cincinnati Bengals on the road, going to San Diego, take care of business against the Chargers. Ground and pound, a great defense, and also they got after you in the run game, and Sanchez got better. He actually stepped up his game late. One thing about the Jets' current rookie quarterback is nothing seems too big for him. He has stayed in the moment. The Jets love Zach Wilson's process.
Here's another Jets-Panthers nugget, and we can roll the B-roll whenever we have it. This game, referred to as the Shrek game by Herm Edwards because the Jets won an ugly game like Shrek, and Shrek, I guess, came out recently in terms of when it was published in the movie theaters.
Well, because you're talking about 2001. We're talking about 20 years ago. So this game, I believe, 13-12, there's Chris Hayes recovering block punt in the end zone, and John Hall nailing a field goal. And Carolina sideline, not too happy about that. But Herm was right. Bottom line in the NFL, you play.
There's Anthony Becht.
Yes.
And there's Shrek.
There is Shrek. You play to win the game.
And that, hey, I love Shrek. Do you like Shrek?
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen every installment, though. How many Shreks have there been?
I think there are 4.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Matt Sitkoff just says in my ear, he just jumped in there, said 4. So Sitkoff's got a young daughter back in our production room. I think I've seen a couple of them. I don't know if I've seen every installment.
Shrek is a hit. Shrek 1, 2, 3, and 4. Even, at Disney, they have a Shrek 40. Anyway, enough about Shrek. Let's hear from NFL Network analytics expert Cynthia Freeland.
Thanks, guys. 2 things that stand out ahead of this week's matchup with the Panthers. Well, one's a projection and one's a stat. So here we go. First, the projection. Zach Wilson forecast to be the best rookie quarterback in terms of passing yards and touchdowns thrown. He has the best odds of having at least 3,900 passing yards and 23 or more touchdowns. And second, 2.7. This is a metric called yards run per route. It's a next-gen stat. It helps contextualize wide receivers. Well, Corey Davis last season as a Titan, he had the 4th best yards run per route average at 2.7 yards. And by the way, the 3 other guys ahead of him, all Pro Bowlers. No big deal.
All right, Corey Davis fell 16 yards shy of 1,000 yards. I think this will be the year that he finally eclipses the 1 triple zeros, and for more numbers like that, be sure to check out the Numbers Game with Cynthia Freeland and Dan Grassa Sunday at 10:30. And let's wrap up with the option route. This is a new segment here on Practice Today presented by SiriusXM. And let's start with our first question. excluding Christian McCaffrey, who is more important to contain, DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson or Brian Burns and Hassan Reddick?
Wow, that's a great one. I'm going to take those two edge guys because I think the Jets offense can have a lot of success if they're able to run the football and get after these guys on the ground, and that's going to set up some play action stuff for this guy right here, Zach Wilson, up top to the aforementioned Corey Davis and Elijah Moore. I think if those guys have quiet games, I think this guy's going to have a loud game.
Oh, I like that. I do agree with you, but it is very important to contain those two guys on the outside with DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. Since 2019, DJ Moore is 5th in the NFL in receiving yards. You think about what Robbie Anderson did last year in his first year with Carolina, 2 1,000-yard receivers with Christian McCaffrey only playing in 3 games. The youth of this secondary, the storylines are definitely there. So it is equally as important to me to make sure that you stop those two.
So is that what you're taking?
No, I agree with you, the edge guys.
Oh, okay. So you're taking edge.
I just want it to be known that the two receivers, you can make the argument for that.
I just wanted to clarify because we're keeping score this year.
Oh, we are?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. Who will have the most sacks on the Jets defense? Quinnen Williams, Sheldon Rankins, John Franklin Myers, or the newly acquired Shaq Lawson?
How about Marcus May last year in the season opener? Remember in Buffalo, he had a pair of sacks himself. I'm going Quinnen Williams. I just think that he is poised for taking his game to another level. He was great last year, but he's speaking differently this year. He's going to be a star, I think, in the league. So I'll take Quinnen Williams, even though he's going to see a lot of double teams, and Sheldon Rankins is going to benefit because I don't know who you're going to take care of up front because Rankins looks poised for a big year.
Yeah, I don't want to agree with you again, so I'm going to go with Sheldon Rankins. You think about what Quinnen Williams did last year. He had 7 sacks. Sheldon Rankins' career high, 8 sacks. Sheldon Rankins played on a good defensive line in New Orleans. Both those guys playing on a good defensive line here with the Jets. So I think Rankins got, to your point, maybe going overlooked a little bit. He's got some real explosive twitch to him, and I think that we'll see that starting this Sunday in Carolina, which leads us to our last question. The NFL MVP. All right, well, let's set the table here. Cowboys, Buccaneers tonight, kicking off the NFL season. Will the NFL MVP be one of the following? Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, that's one option. Or 2, you get to play the field.
That's so difficult. You'd have to say Mahomes is the favorite, right? And we just saw Rodgers. I think the Packers are poised for another big year. This is a team that's been in the NFC Championship game the last couple years. I originally thought I was going to go field here, but
Wow, you're changing it?
I'm going to go Mahomes-Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't know how many, off the top of my head, truthfully, I do not know how many NFL MVPs have won the award in back-to-back years.
Yeah.
But I really think you're right. With the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes having that retooled offensive line, I think he's going to have more time to throw it around. We saw Aaron Rodgers, and I think you're right about the Packers. They're poised to do some big things in Green Bay. So I am also going to take one of the following in terms of Rodgers and Mahomes, even though maybe the numbers don't play in our favor.
Who do you think the best field candidates would be?
I would say, unfortunately, one of them is up in Buffalo.
Josh Allen. Okay. Fair.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, always. Yep.
Maybe Tom in Tampa.
Yeah, you can't forget about Brady. And then does McCaffrey enter the conversation? He would if he does have a year like he did in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, he was ridiculous in 2019. And granted, they didn't have – I don't know if having more talent on that side of the ball helps or hurts McCaffrey. Like, it helps to a certain degree, but statistically, they relied on him so much. He was responsible for over 52% of the Panthers' touches in 2019. I don't know if that number will remain the same because of the addition of guys like Anderson and Terrace Marshall.
Yeah, and then – let me throw a wild card, a dark horse candidate for you. Let's go to the Rams. People are high on their potential this year, and the guy on defense who's leading that way is in the middle is Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Matt Stafford for a minute on the other
No,
side.
I thought we had
Out
to
of
throw-
Detroit.
We had to throw somebody defensively out there.
Yeah.
But here's a guy who's locked and loaded. He's ready to go. You know.
Yeah, what do you expect from Wilson on Sunday? And I know we're talking about the matchup in particular, but what do you expect from number 2 in his first game as a New York Jet?
I think we're going to see a lot of repetition from what we saw in the preseason. The bottom line is he was calm, he was poised. I think what we might see, though, is more of that improviser that everybody continues to talk about. We saw it more on the practice field. Fans at home saw it, the one play against the Packers, 27 yards to Corey Davis. But he has the ability to beat you from the pocket, but he has another ability to take it to the next level outside.
And that's all we have for this episode of Practice Today, presented by SiriusXM. We have a lot on tap this weekend. Saturday night, 11:30 p.m., CBS 2. We have Jet Life. Then on Sunday, we got the numbers game presented by WynnBET at 10:30. Pregame Central presented by Uber Eats at 11. Game Day with Robert Saleh, 11:30 on CBS. And, of course, wrapping up right here inside the BetMGM studio with Jets Overtime presented by Nissan. That's all we have here. We will see you on Sunday.